What's up, YouTube? This is Bystander X79. I'm coming to you today with my Shaddoll Magician Girl deck profile for the May 2018 format. Alright, Magician Girls have been released since we got the Dark Side of Dimensions boosters. Okay, cool thing about it, they're all spellcasters. And they all have some pretty awesome effects that can special summon other spellcasters, whether it be from the hand, graveyard, or even the deck, to the field. Switch the attack to those new monsters, and then half the attack on the attacking monster, which is actually pretty cool. The other thing about it is that they're all different attributes, which allows you to combine them with Shaddolls to gain access to all their various fusions. Alright, with a few other nice little spellcaster support cards thrown into this, is a pretty formidable deck to face. Especially if you don't know how to counter it. So, without further ado, we're going to get right into this deck. First up, as always, we're going to start off with 3 copies of Apple Magician. Okay, so if Apple Magician is ever targeted for an attack, you can special summon 1 level 5 or lower spellcaster monster from your hand to the field. Okay, the attack is switched over to that monster, and then the attacking monster's attack is then half. So it's actually pretty cool, taking a big monster, cutting it down, especially if the monster you bring out is actually going to be bigger than what the attacking monster is. The other cool thing about it is that if she's ever sent from the field to the graveyard, you can choose up to 3 Magician Girl cards in your graveyard and cycle them back into your hand. So she's a great recursion card. Okay, I myself run 2 copies of Berry Magician. Berry Magician, when you normal summon her to the field, you can search your deck for another Magician Girl card to add to your hand. Awesome. She's kind of like a Shaddoll, but only with normal summons. And if she's ever attacked or targeted by a card effect, you can change her battle position to whatever it is, and then special summon 1 Magician Girl card monster from your hand, except for Berry Magician Girl herself. Okay. And now we got a bit of a combo starter here. We got 3 copies of Chocolate Magician Girl. Basically, what you can do is you can discard 1 Spellcaster card from your hand to draw a card, so she adds a little consistency to the deck with her draw effect. The other thing about it is that it also combos well with her other effect. Whenever she's targeted for an attack, you can select. You can basically special summon 1 spellcaster card from your graveyard to the field, switch the attack to that, and then the attack is halved. Alright, so just imagine dumping a big monster into the graveyard, special summoning it out, big spellcaster monster into the graveyard, special summoning it out, and then your opponent is losing it. Alright, I also have 2 copies of Kiwi Magician Girl. Now she's a level 5 Wind Attribute, 1800 attack, so she's pretty big. She's also a hand trap. Basically, you could discard this discard Magician Girl monsters on the field, currently on the field, gain 300 attack and defense for each Magician Girl monster with different names on the field and in the graveyard. So this is actually a pretty awesome hand trap, which power boosts all your Magician Girl cards on the field. Other cool thing about it is our continuous effect. Alright, basically spellcaster type monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effects, and your opponent cannot target them with card effects. So getting her on the field is pretty awesome. I mean, sending her to the graveyard is one thing, just to power boost all your monsters, because the Magician Girls aren't that very strong, but bringing her onto the field gives you that continuous effect, which just can cause so many problems. I mean, if you don't believe me, take a look at what Nightmare Goblin can do. Alright, and of course I also run 2 copies of Limited Magician Girl. Limited Magician Girl will tribute off one of your Magician Girl monsters to search your deck for any Spellcaster card you want. Alright, which is cool because this gives you access to your Shaddoll monsters easily. Alright? And just like the other Magician Girls, if you're targeted for attack, special summon any Spellcaster card monster from your hand to the field, switch the attack to that monster, and then half the attack of your opponent's monster. Okay. So that's it for the Magician Girl lineup. Alright, I'm going to take a look at the Shaddolls. Alright, I run 2 copies of Shaddoll Beast. Basically, it's big, it's brawny, it has 2200 attack. Whenever it's sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you're drawing a card. If you bring it back onto the field with, say, Shaddoll Falco, you flip it face up, you're basically getting kind of like a Graceful Charity effect with it. So, awesome. Of course, I also have Shaddoll Dragon. Alright. A flip effect is basically target one card your opponent controls and return it to the hand. So it's a compulsory evacuation device for any card. And then basically, if it's ever sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you're popping back row. Alright, Shaddoll Falco. Okay. Flip, you can target one Shaddoll monster in your graveyard, except for Falco. Special summon it to the field, face down defense position. Awesome. If this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can special summon it to the field and face down defense position. You can only use this one. Yeah, you can only use this one Shaddoll Falco effect once per turn. You only use one effect of Shaddoll Falcos once per turn and only once that turn. It's kind of the thing on all Shaddoll cards. And then of course you have Shaddoll Hedgehog, basically. Flip effect, adding a Shaddoll spell trap from your deck to your hand, and then if it's sent to the graveyard by a card effect, add one Shaddoll monster from your deck to your hand. Okay, so he's a searcher. So that's it for the Shaddolls. I also have one big old boss monster right here, Dark Magician of Chaos. Just to help give the deck a little bit more attack force with it. Basically, whenever it's summoned, during the end phase of the turn to summon, you get to target one spell card in the graveyard and add it back to your hand. Which actually, and then of course, whenever it battles on one of your opponent's monsters and destroys it, that opponent's monster is banished instead. And of course, if this card leaves the field, it's banished. Alright, this downside, but I do have a card in the extra deck that can help us out. The end turn is effect is actually very good because it kind of solves the issue with Magical Dimension that this card used to have. Because back then, it had to be the last effect to be activated, and Magical Dimension could pop a monster. So if you pop the monster, you couldn't get the spell recursion. And if you didn't pop a monster, you could. But now, you can get both. Because the spell recursion happens during the end phase. Awesome. Alright. Speaking of spells, going on to that. Of course, running Shaddoll deck, you gotta have 2 copies of El Shaddoll Fusion. It's a quick play fusion spell. Great card is to bring out any of the bigger Shaddoll boss monsters in your extra deck to cause problems for your opponent. Foolish Burial, because you want to have cards in your graveyard. Talked about this with Dark Magician of Chaos, Magical Dimension. Basically, you're going to target one of your Spellcaster monsters, tribute it, special summon a Spellcaster monster from your hand, and then pop a monster because you can. And it's a quick play spell, which means your opponent's going to have a little harder time. Of course, Monster Reborn to bring stuff back. 3 copies of the Secret Village of the Spellcasters. Guys, you do not know how important this card is, because as long as you keep a Spellcaster monster on your field, your opponent ain't activating those spells, and that's pretty much gonna hurt them so hard. Of course, I have 2 copies of Shaddoll Fusion. This is the normal spell, and basically if your opponent has a monster that's been special summoned from the extra deck on the field, you can actually use this card and materials from your deck to fusion summon out. a monster that you need. Pretty awesome. 2 copies of Terraforming because you want to see your field spell. And of course I also run 2 copies of Twin Twisters just for a little back row hate. On to the trap lineups, because I do like make some traps in this deck. And 2 copies of Bottomless Trap Hole. Basically, any monster, normal or special summon that has 1500 or more attack, you're basically going to be destroying it and banishing it, which can slow down a lot of the current meta decks. 2 copies of Magician's Defense. This is actually a very good card in this deck, since a lot of your monsters are very low attack. This card will have all battle damage, so your opponent's not going to be able to swing over all your monsters that easily and OTK you that easily. And of course, if this card's ever popped, you can target a Spellcaster monster in your graveyard and special summon it. And of course, last but not least, Storming, 2 copies of Storming Mirror Force, because this can basically doesn't destroy anything, it just sends everything back to your opponent's hand. So if your opponent extra links you, this guy's gonna solve that issue, because it doesn't destroy. Alright, that's it for the main deck. On to the extra deck. Alright, this extra deck does a little bit of everything. Start with the Shaddolls. Fusions, of course. Shaddoll, Analytis. Basically, this prevents either player from special summoning from the hand or the graveyard. So, runner at 1, because you basically can block a lot of your opponent's plays and just lock down the deal with that. El Shaddoll Grista, basically it's the Walking Solemn Warning. El Shaddoll Shikaniga, basically it's like a Walking Solemn Strike. And both Grista and Shikaniga require you to discard a Shaddoll card, so that's any Shaddoll card, whether it be a monster or any of their spells. And of course, I have El Shaddoll Wendigo. Basically, it's a great defensive card, and it can prevent any of your other monsters from being destroyed in battle with a monster that's been special summoned. So it does offer a little bit of protection if you need to go that way. And of course I have 2 copies of El Shaddoll Winda, basically because Winda slows your opponent down to only 1 special summon per turn. Synchros, 1 copy of Tempest Magician. And Tempest Magician is actually very, very good because you can actually discard cards from your hand to the graveyard, place spell counters on practically all your cards, and then remove them, and then hit your opponent with burn damage. So yeah, great for end of match. Virgil of Istar, the Burning Abyss, basically because it is a spellcaster, has 2500 attack, and if it's ever destroyed by battle, you're basically drawing a card. And then, of course, both of the other synchros are level 6. I have a level 8. Combine them with Falco, you can get Omega, and basically, it's going to basically rip cards out of your opponent's hands, and ultimately recycle anything that's banished, like Dark Magician of Chaos. Alright, that's it for the synchros. Only got a couple of Ixies. Basically, Abyss Dweller to stop graveyard effects, and got a Cowboy again to swing for game, or burn for game. Links. Link Horrible because Berry Magician Girl is a thing. Underclock Taker because it can help further reduce attack power. Summon Sorceress, who is now tournament legal here in the TCG. Awesome. Well, at least in North America. Can help special summon out a lot of your spellcasters, since all your monsters are spellcaster monsters. Opens up some serious awesome plays. And of course I also have a Saruja in there, basically because Saruja is actually pretty good. Power boosts a lot, anything it points to. It can give you the extra special summon that you need. And if you can get it off with 4 different named monsters, you're going to be able to fix your hand. Alright. Boom. And that right there is it for my Shaddoll Magician Girl deck profile. for the May 2018 format. Guys, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this on my channel, hit that subscribe button and make sure you activate notifications, ring the bell to make sure you're alerted whenever I throw up a new video on my channel. So guys, until next time, peace out.